Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 1119. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Is it Fat Tuesday or was that last week or 2 weeks ago? It's Tuesday. We are almost the end of February. I like February because it goes so fast. Although it's a little longer. It's a day longer this month. We've got an extra day. Leap year. So we don't get to March until what, Friday? Holy moly! And I'll be headed to spring training in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today, I'll be on at this time we'll be about taking off en route to Phoenix, Arizona. So I've been trying to juggle getting prepared for spring training. And you're like, what are you doing to prepare for spring training? Well, I get autographs. And lots of them. And so I make custom cards of minor league players that don't have cards, or Cubs signings that don't have, like Richard Lovelady. What a great name. Old Dick Lovelady. He's in Cubs camp. So stuff like that. I make it through the Rookies app. And got my second batch yesterday. So I think I'm up to, I think yesterday's batch was 120 cards and my first was 80. So that's 200 cards. And started making a third batch. I'm at 20. But I've run out of like pictures to use. So I'll be looking for photos for the next week or so. And I might have the third, although I don't like it shipped to spring training because I like to prepare my book, my autograph book, ahead of time. And I alphabetize all the cards, so I know that's in this book. So that's kind of the conundrum I run into. It's nice to have it shipped and get the latest photos, but it kind of ruins, because when I get out there, I'm like gung-ho. I don't have time to sit down and alphabetize my cards. So March 12 is when I leave. I'll have one card show. I'll have one card show before I head out to spring training. That's on Saturday, March 9th. I'll be set up in St. Charles, Illinois at the Kane County Fairgrounds. Love the show. I've had great success at that one. Yesterday, I actually was Bowman Bonanza is the name of today's episode because it was a Bowman Bonanza yesterday as I shipped, listed, and sorted. So I was organizing kind of a little bit of everything. I was putting together piles for eBay. I was putting together quarter boxes for the St. Charles show because I haven't made new quarter boxes in a while. And then putting another refractor box together for our next sale. Our next YouTube live sale will be coming up still about a month out. Probably won't happen until the first week. Well, let's see. I'm trying to think of how that calendar plays out. March 30. Yeah, so it'll be the first week of April. So I've got to get through spring training and the Madison Card Show. By the way, speaking of the Madison Card Show, third room secured for March 30th. Demand has been insane. So we're going to have even more first-time dealers next month. March 30th, we'll be at 175 tables. We will be sold out. So if you want to get in, let me know now. March 30th, Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan Drive, 175 dealer tables, 3 ballrooms once again, State Street, which has direct access to the parking lot around back. Williamson Ballroom, also on the first floor, which has been open for 2 years now, and the upstairs Capitol Ballroom along with the mezzanine. So there you go. Get ready. So I was shipping, listing, and sorting yesterday. I've bought like 50,000 Bowman in the last 2 weeks at the last 2 card shows, Janesville Card Show and in the Macomb, Madison Card Show. So I've been getting those sorted. I did put some batches together yesterday, some color on eBay, some Bowman color, a couple Adley Rushmans. What else? Some tops, foils, refractors. Those are in my eBay store. Some Riley Green. Some of these sold pretty quickly. Gunnar Henderson. My Paul Ellering auto that I put up sold like somebody sent me I actually had a couple offers like right away, and one offer 15. I had it listed for 20. I had a $15 offer. I'm like, that was what I was thinking of putting it for buy it now anyway, but I tested 20. I got my 15. So don't be greedy as a buyer or a seller. I'm going to throw the link to my eBay store up here. Oh, it is up. Sometimes my method, and everybody's different when it comes to selling on eBay. Obviously, I'm doing this full time, so my strategy is going to be a lot different than if you're just selling. I'm also volume selling. If you're not volume selling, and if you're just doing it part time, my strategies probably won't work for you. I'm turn and burn. I think I paid $1 or $1.50 for that Paul Ellering autograph in a pile. Obviously, it was the best card of the bunch. I think I only paid $10 for all of the cards I got. This was, I think, last month at a show. So that one card, I waited a month to list it, but it was buried in a pile, and I realized, oh yeah, I forgot I got those. So it's all about what you have into it, And if you're really looking to turn and burn, pay no attention to, I don't look at comps a lot. It's like, I know what I have into some of these cards. Now, that doesn't mean come in and offer me $1 on a $10 card because I got it for a penny in a bulk buy. It's going to be fairly close to comp. Sometimes I'm over comps on things. Sometimes I don't adjust pricing. I do release day pricing on Bowman because most of it sells at release day pricing, which is higher than what it will be, especially if the prospect doesn't pan out. So I have a lot of stuff that's probably overpriced in my eBay store. And sometimes somebody will send me what looks to be a low ball offer. It might be a $50 listing, but it's a $20 card, and they send me a $15 offer. It's like, okay, this has been in my store for a year and a half. I'm going to accept $15 on a $50 offer. So, but it's also the turn and burn method. I could have waited that Paul Ellering auto and it listed for $20. I had 2 or 3 offers right away. I could have waited a couple days and it could have sold for $20, but it might not have sold. The good thing about Paul Ellering is, he's like a legend. So it's not a Bowman prospect where I want, like, those are hot potatoes. James commented somewhere in here about getting those Bowman prospects listed. Bowman prospects are hot potatoes, especially this time of year. You're going to sell most of your prospects right now, especially in spring training, because a lot of these prospects are getting big league at bats in spring training. They hit a home run and boom, the market. So that's my thought on the Bowman. I'll go more in depth on it here in a bit. Other than that, it's been, we are in our, I think, 3rd fall spring, and we're going to, next week we'll be in our 4th fall spring. It was like 60 degrees yesterday. So Biscuit's loving it. She's getting walked. We ran into Rosie and the Chihuahuas. That's what I have given. They live down the street. Rosie's sweet, like the sweetest dog. Rosie's like a terrier schnauzer mix, I think. The owner, they're all adopted or rescues, and the owner doesn't know exactly what breed. Probably a mutt, but terrier schnauzer mix. Very sweet, Rosie. And so he was telling me yesterday about the Chihuahua that he rescued. They rescued Rosie first. He had a Chihuahua that was old and passed away. So they were looking to rescue another Chihuahua. And Rosie came up. So they rescued Rosie. And then the 2 Chihuahuas came up. Rowdy and Julius are the Chihuahuas' names. Now, Biscuit and Rowdy and Julius did not get along the first couple times they met. Now she tolerates Rosie. The thing with Biscuit is Biscuit just tolerates dogs. She's not like a dog person. Biscuit's a human person, and I'm a dog person. Wait, Biscuit's a human dog. I'm a dog person. There we go. I'd rather talk to the dogs. Biscuit would rather talk to the people. So it works. It works. So it was funny. The last time, usually it's just Rosie on a walk, but yesterday he had all three of the dogs. I think it was actually, was it Christmas Day? It was one of the holidays. It was either Thanksgiving or Christmas Day, and or maybe New Year's Day. I don't know. It was one of those holidays in the winter where it was really, might have been Christmas because it was really nice out, and so must have been his daughters were walking the Chihuahuas, and Biscuit was, I don't know if she was just like antsy from being around people or just being cooped up in the winter, but Biscuit was kind of being grouchy, and her and the Chihuahuas did not get along. They tolerated each other yesterday, and the owner said that Rosie's kind of like the mom. She's like the mom to the Chihuahuas. And it was funny because Biscuit would go, like, Biscuit's kind of doing her own thing, and then she'll go sniff buttholes. Then she'll go back and sniff the grass. She'll sniff buttholes again. So when she's sniffing the Chihuahua buttholes, Rosie's like keeping a close eye. And Rosie's like, I don't know about this dog. I still don't know about this dog. Why is she sniffing those buttholes? So there you go. Sniffing Chihuahua buttholes, only on Hobby Evolution. So that was yesterday. I wanted to go out. I wanted to go to the bar last night. It's like, I need to get out. Although Saturday was at Post Card Show, and I texted my buddy Mark, and I'm like, hey, you want to do beers? He's like, and I texted at like 1:00. I'm like, hey, you want to do beers? And he goes, like, right now? And I'm like, no, like tonight. And he's like, yeah, I think so. And so I don't know what I was doing. Like, I did my post office run, and then I came home. Oh, I had some mail. So it was my rookie's mail day. So I was opening my rookie's mail day, and I was on the couch, and it was really comfortable. And my wife came home. We chatted. And then all of a sudden I dozed. Oh, I was watching Saturday Night Live, which was funny. Shane Gillis was on Saturday Night Live. I like Shane Gillis. And a lot of people don't, because he doesn't toe the line. He jumps across the line of politically correctness, which is okay in comedy. If you're going to get offended, don't watch it. Like, that's my thought. But everybody wants to cancel everybody. Well, you think differently. I'm going to cancel you. Don't listen to him. He says bad words that shouldn't be said. Don't fucking listen. I think Shane Gillis is hilarious. His monologue, and I wanted to read, I think I fell asleep. That was where the story was going. I fell asleep on the couch. Mark texted me. He's like, hey, are you out for beers? I'm like, no, I fell asleep on the couch. He's like, good, I'm tired too. I'm like, God, we're old. Anyway, back to Shane Gillis. His monologue, I wanted to look up, and that's when I fell asleep. I wanted to look up people commenting on his monologue. And his monologue kind of bombed, like, because it wasn't funny. In a lot of stuff Shane Gillis does and says, it's not funny. Ha 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 ha. It's like, oh, he went there. Yeah, that's funny. That's the kind of comedian humor he has. Apparently, the audience at Saturday Night Live this past weekend did not have the same feelings that I share. Like, oh, and there was some things that he said that it's like, ooh. But yeah, I'd like to read some comments. I don't know. What are your thoughts? John says his son likes Shane Gillis, and SNL getting some shit over that. He was supposed to be on Saturday Night Live a couple years ago, but like his stand-up came out and they're like, oh, nope, we can't have you. I think Saturday Night Live needs some of that. See, Matt, I agree with Max. Gillis is awesome. The PC people need to just not watch. It's edgy comedy. We are going into this. I don't like this phase we're in America where everybody's offended. Everybody's offended, and comedy is no longer comedy. And people sneak in cameras, like, oh, let's cancel this guy because he said a bad word and he's making fun of somebody that doesn't look like him. And I get there are lines that you shouldn't cross, but I think people are too sensitive. They are too sensitive. And I think Shane Gillis is, I think that's what Saturday Night Live, I always have trouble saying it. I think that's what SNL needs. But I know they are, politically speaking, they're on the left side of things, and I get it. I think they need a little bit of right side influence. Little right side influence, little not, they do they do make fun of both sides, but the audience was, Unicorn Cupcake says the audience was lame, only really laughed when he said cracker. John says the flip side is that people used to keep a lot of their extreme opinions to themselves. Now it's out in the open. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. That's a really good take. Yeah, because we didn't have, now we have the internet and we have social media. And the thing, it's not a generational thing. Like people, well, in my generation, we didn't have this. Well, your generation didn't have the internet. And that's what leads to all of this nonsense. We are living the gods must be crazy. The internet, social media, YouTube, right now, I'm sharing my opinion. Somebody's probably pissed off and hitting the dislike button right now. We are the Coke. Internet is the Coke bottle from Gods Must Be Crazy. And now it is. Everything's in the open. We all have a voice. We all have our soapboxes, and we all have our opinions, and we can see something on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and be irate about it. I don't like that. That's not what I share. So yeah. Where are we at? Instead of just going back to the top, let's just catch it up. We'll catch up to the earlier comments later. I think maybe that's what I should do instead of being 45 minutes behind in the chat. Just go back. Where are we at? Because there's some other. Let's go to the SNL talk, because this is an interesting. I find it interesting based on like the history of Shane Gillis getting fired from SNL. Now he comes back to host it. Monologues seem to kind of go over like a fart in church. John says SNL audience tends to lean towards the left. Yes. And Max says leans? If there were a letter, it would be an upside down U. Let's see. Where are we at? PC people are a vocal minority. Vocal for sure, yeah. The audience was lame, only really laughed when he said cracker. And so this part was really funny. When he said cracker, that was probably like, I laughed throughout the monologue, but not as much as I laughed when he said cracker. So so the story was Shane Gillis has a niece. So, okay, Shane Gillis has, I believe, a sister who's obviously white. Her husband is, I think, Middle Eastern, from Egypt. They adopted 3 black children, and they were able to conceive a daughter who has Down syndrome. So he was talking about this family dynamic: Middle Eastern, white, black, Down syndrome. And he was talking about how if his niece is on the playground and, some kids are making fun of the niece with Down syndrome, and all of a sudden 3 black kids come out of nowhere and pummel them and says, "Take that, cracker," or something like that. And that was that whole, I thought that was funny. Let's see. Jamie says those people don't want clean comedy. They want to be keyboard warrior trolls. That's true. And both sides have them. Both sides have them. And I think it's because I am pretty open for like when it comes to like I think comedy should be comedy. There are lines like it's like oh okay. But I don't know where I was going with this. But yeah, there are a lot of keyboard warrior trolls out there. Brian says Shane is funny to me most times. Yeah, there's some stuff where it's like, ooh, where I didn't think it was funny. But every comedian is like that. Like, there's not a comedian I have watched where I've thought that was funny from A to Z, start to finish. There's always been something where it's like, that was funny. Oh, that was funny. Oh. But other people find it funny. And the thing about comedy is we all find comedy differently. You know, some people are into like sarcastic humor and, you know, I tend to be like sarcastic at times. And, you know, I can tell when people don't share my sense of humor. And some people just don't have senses of humor. Like you gotta laugh. Billy Joe just hates continuous cursing. I don't mind cursing. I don't mind cursing. I drop the F-bomb. Kyle says, being offended is an internal emotion. I can appreciate Shane Gillis in edgy comedy. There used to be discretion. Now we can present our worst selves out in the open. And that's, you know, when Twitter was like starting to become more and more popular, you know, it's been over 10 years now, like in 2009, 2010, when it was like really kind of gaining steam. Like I started to like, you were like making friendships through Twitter, like with complete strangers. And you like shared the same sentiments with these strangers on Twitter, but on Facebook, where at the time it was more your close-knit group of friends, your family. And it's like, God, I hate these people. My family, my God. I didn't know my family was that terrible. And then you go to Twitter, it's like these complete strangers feel like family. You really do. Like you think you don't know your family until you friend them on Facebook. And then you really know. Because they've got a couple glasses of wine, or in my case, a 6-pack or a 30-pack of Busch Light. They get on that keyboard. I'm drunk and angry. And I'm going to tell you how I feel. Speaking of glass, I brought glass of wine up first because I was in a relationship with this woman. Oh man, I was probably, she was like 8 years older than I was. I was only like 25 at the time, which is now like, she was 8 years. She was a dinosaur. She was 33. And I'm like, oh, to be 33 again. And she was going through like a separation divorce, and her mother-in-law, like this old, like you think she's like this sweet old lady. And she like sends me a Facebook message out of like, we weren't even friends. She like sends me this Facebook. Now I'm like, what the hell is this? And so I just respond, I'm like, you're a 70-year-old woman. Like, what are you doing? And then it's like, I'm sorry, I'm on this new medication and I had a couple glasses of wine. It's like, so that you just get on your keyboard and that's what, there used to be discretion. Now we've got Facebook and Twitter, and we present our worst selves out in the open, just as John says. Max says he wishes it was a free market. Unicorn Cupcake says he did a funny Trump sketch where they made fun of Biden at the end too. Yeah, so they do both sides. That was pretty funny. I think I fell asleep. I think that was the skit right before Weekend Update, and I think I fell asleep shortly after Weekend Update. I tell you what, Shane Gillis does Trump better than Trump. Whoever the guy that does Trump on Saturday Night Live currently sucks. Like, he does not do Trump well. And that's what, and it doesn't matter which president it is. I think Saturday, I can't say Saturday night. I sound drunk every time I say it. SNL. I feel like the best years of SNL are when the comedian does a good president. Daryl Hammond did an amazing Bill Clinton. Dana Carvey did an awesome Ross Perot. And did he do Bush? Who did Bush? I can't remember who did W. Bush or Obama. But the new guy, I don't even know his name, but whoever does Trump now is not good at Trump. Biden's kind of easy. you just not on. I don't really see Gillis as comedy. It's just frat boy stream of consciousness, and that's the type I enjoy. That I think that is funny comedy. Tea Timer says Gods Must Be Crazy, a blast from the past. Yeah, that's a great movie. John says he's funny, but no different than sitting around at a nitrous oxide party. Mike Cho, what's up? Thank you, Bowman. It's been a Bowman party, a Bowman Bonanza around here. Mike bought a bunch of boxes from him of Bowman on Saturday. Bought a bunch last week in Janesville. John says there are a lot of vocal minorities, gun people, Jesus people, right to life people. We tend to see those who disagree with our own extreme beliefs to be a vocal minority. There is truth to that. Eddie Murphy was a comedian. Carlin was a comedian. Chappelle is a comedian. There's an intelligence to some, others are just a reflection. And I like all of it. Like, I think there's some comedians that it's like, I don't think they're funny. I'm trying to think. And of course, now that I try to think of who, we went to see, what's her name? Wanda Sykes. I'm not really into Wanda Sykes' comedy. But like, that's the only comedian that it's like, I didn't really care for that. Like, Seinfeld is lover. Like, people either love Seinfeld or hate Seinfeld. I love Seinfeld. Like, it's just it's everyday. Like, is it like Seinfeld? Like, it's just life. He's just talking about life with a comedic spin. And then there's others that, and then you got Gallagher, who I think passed away last year, who just smashes fruit on stage. And you got Carrot Top, who just brings out his funny hair and a suitcase of stuff. Theo Von is funny to me, but also displays an intelligence. He's tight with Gillis, ironically. Theo Von, I don't know if I've ever listened or watched Theo Von. I'm not familiar. I have been in my wife and I kind of have different and as I scroll down, I see Mike Cho. No wives have a sense of humor. My wife and I don't really share the same sense of humor. Like, I like the frat boy comedy. My wife doesn't. But Nate Bargatze is somebody that we both enjoy. We both enjoy Seinfeld. We went and saw Jerry Seinfeld perform here a couple of years ago. Nate Bargatze is a newer comedian, new to me, I guess. And I think he's pretty funny. Red Light says, hit the like button and drop the F-bomb. Thank you. Let's see. Max says, most people just need to lighten up and not have an opinion and care about everything. I think sometimes when I start typing, when I start keyboard warrioring, I take a minute and take a deep breath and realize, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I on the internet arguing with strangers over something that doesn't mean anything to either of us? Like, why can't I just go back to my baseball cards? But something will trigger me and I'll make a comment. I get that from my mom. My mom will My mom has an opinion. My dad was he was chill. Oh, he had opinions. Don't get me wrong. He had opinions. But my dad was much more reserved. And he wouldn't share those opinions in public. He didn't know how to turn on a computer. So that was never a problem. My mom has opinions, and she'll let you know. Brian Regan is my favorite clean comedian. Can we just agree Jay Leno has never been funny? Here's the funny thing. I don't understand. I don't understand this. And it's me. It's between the ears. I always watch Jay Leno. Growing up, I watched Jay Leno, but I like David Letterman better. And they were on at the same time. I don't know why. Maybe because we didn't have cable, so we had like the rabbit ears. So Letterman was on channel 4, Leno was on channel 6. Maybe channel 6, and I think channel 6 did come in better. There was better reception on channel 6 NBC than there was on channel 4 WHBF CBS. But I never watched Letterman. And I liked Letterman. I'm like, are you it's like saying I love Pepsi but drink Coke. It's like, what the hell? I'm a complex person. I don't know why I watched Leno. I did like his headline section, but that was only like one night. He did that on like Monday nights. I did like Conan O'Brien, but now I don't. Like when he came back and did like his TNT or TBS show, I like, this is stupid. Like in high school, I loved it. Kind of like speaking of comedians, Tom Green. If I turned Tom Green on right now, I would be, this is the dumbest person I've ever seen on TV. But in high school, my bum is on the roof. My bum is on the roof. The sausage song. What was the sausage song? Daddy, would you like some sausage? Like, how stupid is that? But like a teenage Bo thought it was the funniest thing on earth. And now it's like, Daddy, would you like some sausage? It's like, this is the dumbest thing ever. Whatever happened to comedy like the Three Stooges? My favorite when I was young. See, I never got into Three Stooges because that was like way, way before my time. Although it was in syndication like as I was a kid. But was never into the Three Stooges. Max agrees, says he never laughed at Leno. Jay Leno appeals to more of America than probably any comedian ever. That may be an indictment of our country. Philly Joe disagrees with Brian. What was Brian's? Oh, he thought Jay Leno was funny. Low Roller told us to buy Bitcoin last year. Phil Hartman was the best Clinton. Let's see. Phil Hartman is Clinton. Phil Hartman was, I thought Darrell Hammond did the best Clinton. Wow, Bitcoin's up to 57,000. Wow. Phil Hartman. Phil Hartman was great. Phil Hartman was an all-timer on Saturday Night Live. But I'm gonna stick to my Darrell Hammond as Bill Clinton. Have you seen this? I'm sure I laughed at least once. Oh, that's right. George W. Bush was Will Ferrell, and H.W. Bush was Dana Carvey. Okay, so Dana Carvey did the Elder Bush and Ross Perot. See, the Will Ferrell years, we're still behind. I skipped a lot of comments, and we're still 10 minutes behind. I skipped a lot of I was a huge Saturday Night Live fan in the 90s. From I think I discovered it. I probably wasn't supposed to discover it when I was 10. So it was I know the early years before I was born, those were the glory days of SNL. But then there was a resurgence in the early 90s, and that's when I started watching it. And then, college, 10:30 on a Saturday night, when I'm a junior, senior in high school and into college, I'm not at home watching SNL. Let's see. Dogecoin is pumping and altcoin season is coming. Let's see how my altcoins do. I have a few, a little bit, not much. Johnny M, what's up? I haven't found SNL funny in 20 years. You know, I thoroughly enjoyed Saturday night's episode until I fell asleep on the couch. There's been much better years of it. There's certainly some down years. I think the last couple years have been down, but then like right before the pandemic, it was really hitting its stride again. And then coming out of the pandemic, Max says Biden is just mumble a couple things that make no sense, fall up a set of stairs and fall asleep. Sad but true. I mean, what the hell's wrong with our country? The Republican Party, and this is the best we can do with representing the United States of America. This is who the Republicans bring us. This is who the Democrats bring us. This is the best you can do. That's all I'm going to say. Speaking of SNL, Dana Carvey and David Spade have a podcast, which is kind of fun. Oh, interesting. Jordan's in the house. Jamie Foxx does a great Trump. He has several impersonations that are incredible. Biden is the last person left to not get that Biden. It's a joke. Listen here, Corn Pop. Saw Nate Bargatze live in Omaha a few weeks back. He's my favorite. He's funny as hell. Billy Joe says chicks are not funny. Don't hate me. Ironic that there's actually some women. You can probably say that in this chat because it's 100% male viewership according to my YouTube analytics. Until somebody like screenshots and puts it on Twitter and you're gonna go viral. To 73 people. There are some female comedians that are hilarious. There's of course I can't remember. Taylor Tomlinson is pretty funny. Who was I just watching? And I think she's coming here to Madison. We actually get a lot of really good comedians in. Like my wife and I are always like, oh, this person's coming to the comedy club. And then we never go. I think the last we went to an open mic. One of our friends performed on open mic night. That was like 7 years ago. We saw, who did we see? We used to go out. Now we just work all the time. The Sklar, we saw the Sklar brothers there, but who else? We saw somebody since that was like the first or second year we were dating. We saw somebody else there. Anyway, Taylor Tomlinson and shit. And I think they do a podcast together. The funny one that I can't remember her name. Ironic that our country has two people in the end of life stage running for control of our country, which feels like it's in its own end of life. I agree, 100%. It's very disturbing that this is who each political party rolls out for us to vote on. Let's see. T-Timer agrees on Murphy and Pryor. Unicorn Cupcake says, I forget her name, but a lady comedian owns the eBay store, 4 Sharp Corners. Really? That's interesting. Google that. Find out. I'm curious about that. Ventriloquists are not funny. I agree. Ventriloquists kind of like, who's the main ventriloquist? See, I can't remember names. Who is the ventriloquist comedian? I don't think he's funny at all. It's like, oh, there's a new special with this. I can't remember. I think John speaks for all of us. No one gives a fuck about Bitcoin, you Jack. John's dropping the F-bomb. Nobody cares about Bitcoin. John, that's what we get for letting two parties take over. I agree with that. Let's see. Dan's in the house. He says, I don't think there's any way the Jerky Boys could have launched in 2024, which is sad. There's a lot of comedians that wouldn't have, made it. I don't think Andrew Dice Clay would have had a successful comedic career in 2024. Let's see. John says if you had listened to your teachers, you wouldn't be on welfare, you knuckle. John's angry this morning. You're arguing with strangers because your opinion is fact and it's the only one that matters. Everyone needs to know it. That's a good point. We all think that our own opinion is gospel. Max says, haven't watched the news since COVID. It has made my life 100 times better. I don't care about anything in DC, nor much anywhere else other than my circle. Dan says, you can block him. I think if you block, so John has a wrench. So if John blocks him, he's blocked from the channel, but you can put him in timeout. T-Timer says, don't forget about the big guys, Chris Farley and John Candy. Very funny. Adam Sandler. Love Adam Sandler. Max says Tom Green is a trick. Come on. Isn't that what Biden says? Come on, man. Come on, man. Tom Green, not a national treasure. See, that's my opinion, and I think it's fact. See, I'm just as bad as everyone else. Phil Hartman was apparently not funny to his wife. Ooh, too soon? John says, I disagree with that statement, Brian. I can see why people like guns. I can see why people follow Jesus. I understand people that want less taxes or more. I just don't like a society where we impose. Farrell, Fallon, Catan, years were the best. So I think you were probably too young for like the glory days, but I'm sure you've seen like the replays. I don't know, but maybe it's something that you just had to be there. You know, we go back, like you go back and watch like comedians from the 50s, and it's like, this is terrible because we can't relate. So maybe that's why. But the early 90s, and maybe it's also nostalgia for me because that was when I was watching SNL, was in the early 90s. That was in, you know, you're at that age, you're at that nostalgic age, you know, just about to hit teenagedom. Max says, old white men, it's how the country and capitalism is set up. Rich just keep getting richer and pushing the spectrum out further. JK Cards in the house. Just had my first ESE returned back to me. I spent 3 ounces on shipping and still sent back and says 48 cents on it. Thoughts on what I should do? I weighed it and it says 2.6 ounces. Weird. Yeah, and you're going to run into that. It's annoying as hell. I guess put 48 cents on it. See if it works. It's a pain in the ass. It's a real pain in the ass. And that's going to happen. It's going to like we talked about yesterday. That's going to happen on 1 ounce. You're going to send a card in a card saver and it's going to weigh like 0.2 ounces. You're going to put 1 ounce on it and somebody's going to say it's non-machinable or it needs to go in a package. It's all a numbers game. Eventually that's going to happen. Fortunately, it's not too common, but it does happen. And it's just what it is. Dana Carvey is annoying as he always has to be the focus. That gets tiring real quick. Nikki Glazer, that's one. Yes. Sarah Silverman, I agree. Both are good. Neither was what I was thinking. The one I'm thinking of is not like mainstream. And I think she actually has a card in Allen and Ginter, the comedian I'm thinking of. Let me see if I can find, because I think she's coming on Comedy on State. I think in April, maybe. I think I saw her thing on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, oh, has a card in Allen and Ginter, and then I watched she has one of her specials on Netflix or somewhere, and view all shows, and I'm like, damn, she's funny as hell. God, I can't remember her. Kelsey Cook. And she is on a podcast with Taylor Tomlinson. Oh, they're doing a tape. They're doing one of her tapings on Saturday, April, whatever that is. Kelsey Cook is who I was thinking of. John says the Comedy Central roasts were brilliant. I refuse to debate, argue, or explain myself to anyone on any website, not changing anyone's mind or opinion. That is true. SNL is down overall lately, but Weekend Update is pure gold. Jost and Che are hilarious. They're pretty funny. They're awesome. Trump called his wife Mercedes recently. Not much better on the other side. It should not be down to two old white men who are struggling with dementia to run this country. Jeff Dunham, thank you. Yes, Jeff Dunham. Max thinks Dunham is amazing. I think he's terrible. ForSharpCorners.com about us. I can't reach that from here. I kicked Max's dog. Hall of Fame card collector Mikey's in the house. Free shipping is already paid off. I have 40 orders to ship so far. There you go. We didn't tell you, but we told you. Switch to free shipping. Is anyone else struggling with the video? Like the quality of the video? I think my internet's strong. Or just today's content. Are you struggling with the content or the video quality? Kyle says, I care about Bitcoin, but I'm here to not think about anything specific. There you go. Jay's in the house. Thank you, sir. Lauren Compton is great. Check her out. You're welcome. I am not familiar. Lauren Compton. I will check that out. Too soon for Brian. I don't know what that's in regards to. Max says, I think your assessment of green is spot on, though. I heard the sausage song a month ago and chuckled. It is one of those, like, I think for me, because it brings me back. Like, I don't think it's funny. But it's like yeah, I think that's the same way I feel. Like, I chuckle because it reminds me of high school. John says, I'm a broken record, but everything Phil Hartman touched becomes comedy gold. Phil Hartman was great. Lauren Michaels always says that your favorite SNL years are when you were 13 to 17. That's interesting. So that, for me, that would put me 1995 to 1999, which skews a little later than probably my favorite SNL years. My favorite SNL years are probably my age 10 to 13. Like 92 to 95 were probably my favorite SNL years. I would watch, I don't even think, like, when I discovered SNL, like, I didn't even have a TV in my room yet. I had like a 4-inch, remember those 4-inch, like, little small, like, portable televisions? It was black and white. This is in the 90s. It was in black and white. Of course, it had the long antenna. And I had it in my bed. And I would watch Saturday Night Live on this little 4-inch black and white TV in my bed, probably because I wasn't supposed to watch TV at 11 o'clock at night. So I think maybe that's why it's like, ooh, I'm dangerous. I'm watching TV I'm not supposed to be watching. Max says, I don't think Chevy Chase is funny, so the glory days you're referring to are shot for me. I don't know how I feel about Chevy Chase. Like, I love National Lampoon's Vacation movies, but, like, Chevy Chase isn't, like, funny to me. Like, he's funny. Like, I don't really know how to explain how I feel about Chevy Chase. Like, it's funny, but it's not funny. That makes no sense. But I kind of agree with that. And the same, like, the early days of Saturday Night Live, like, do nothing for me. I think they're, like, the cast. If I didn't know Chevy Chase from National Lampoon's Vacation or Steve Martin from Three Amigos and The Jerk, or John Belushi from the Blues Brothers, and just watched Saturday Night Live, I probably wouldn't, like, I would probably rank it toward the bottom of my favorite casts. But the casts were great. Shane says Tom Green and Road Trip was great. That was a movie that I enjoyed when I don't know if I could enjoy it today. That was funny, and you all know it. Don Rickles is still funny. USPS, also comedy gold that never stops giving. The best part of SNL was staying up late. Absolutely. Jay says, them 50s comedians hit for me. I like the old school comedy. Andy lives in Aurora, Illinois. I'm still amazed that people bring up Wayne's World when finding out where I live. Yeah. Aurora, Illinois. And disappointed when you tell them that Stan Mikita's Donuts doesn't exist. Or did they actually turn that into something? Did they create a Stan Mikita's Donuts? But at the time the movie was made, there was no such thing as Stan Mikita's Donuts. Chevy Chase in the Vacation series is hilarious. Impractical Jokers are funny. Oh, yeah. Sam Kinison. Peoria guy. Peoria. Home of Sam Kinison and Richard Pryor. Not going to Bo for president. Natasha Legaro. I'm not familiar. Oh, I am, what's her name? Eliza Schilzinger. She's funny. There's a lot more women comedians today, I feel, than there have been in the past. Like, I just feel like there's quantity and quality. Andy Mack says, my daughter is currently in 7th grade. I'm afraid to show her the movie, though, because I don't think the humor in Wayne's World is going to hold up very well. I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's a you had to be there moment. What was I was listening to something. I think it was a podcast I was listening to, and it was probably the Boy Meets World podcast. And it was a you had to be there moment. Like, it was funny if you lived it. And we lived Wayne's World, and it was funny, and it hit us. We were probably, you're probably similar age as me. We're in our either preteen or hitting our teen years when Wayne's World came out. So like, it just hit us different. And so we kind of live with that. Like, it was funny then, it's going to be funny now. But that doesn't always stand the test of time. Like, Tom Green didn't stand the test of time for me. It was funny at that time, but it didn't really stand the test of time. Most SNL skits are frozen in time. That's why I think it's very generational. Because it's very topical. It's very it's week of what was the opening skit this week? I mean, it's like boom. It's like time. It's frozen in time. It's like what was happening on August 6th, 1986. And that's what that episode of Saturday Night Live was going to talk about. Baby Jessica and Madonna. Let's see. Shane says Christmas Vacation, my top 5 movies of all time, and Vegas Vacation is in my top 10. We definitely don't agree on this. He's talking to Max. I'm like, well, Christmas Vacation, definitely a top movie for me. Vegas Vacation wouldn't make my top 10. Johnny M is going to see Impractical Jokers in April. Should be a great time. So yeah, I'm looking. I've got the comedy on state. Some of these comedians I've never heard of. Sheng Wang, who apparently has a Netflix special out, and he's a writer for Fresh Off the Boat. Sheng Wang is going to be there. He was already there. He was there last week. Joe Mandy. He has a comedy special on Netflix. He's there later this weekend. Francis Ellis and Lil Sasquatch, podcasters, content creators, and actors from Barstool Sports Network. Not familiar with those guys. Moshe Kasher, co-host of the Endless Honeymoon podcast. Don't know him. Ralph Barbosa. Kyle Kinane from Netflix's The Stand-Ups. Shelf Help, David Nihill. Gareth Reynolds, I've heard of him. Kelsey Cook. 2 Dykes and a mic. Drag Bingo, Pete Lee, Marcelo Hernandez, Beth Stelling, Michael Rappaport, I know him, Gary Gulman, Taylor Tomlinson, already sold out at the end of May. Let's see. John says, Mikey, welcome to the real world. Max says, nope, won't agree. I think he's talking to Shane. Jeff Dunham is about as funny as watching paint dry. I agree with that. Shane ain't wrong. John, are you saying I'm not in the real world and sheltered? Johnny gives a fuck about Bitcoin. It's made me tons of money. There you go. I did make a decent amount back during the pandemic. My nightmare scenario, maybe finding myself at a concert where Jeff Dunham is opening for Travis Tritt. I like some of Travis Tritt's music. Eliza Schlesinger. There you go. Oddly, those years for me coincided with the years Michaels wasn't the producer. I saw Kevin James do stand-up. He was really funny. Caddyshack. Chevy Chase is in the bottom 50% of great SNL cast members. Oh, here's a good Mad TV, greater than SNL by far. One of my favorite skits on Mad TV was Stewart. No, stop it. Stewart was great. Mad TV, good show. You could take Chase out of Caddyshack and it would still be the same movie. Steve Martin was not a cast member. Steve Martin was not a cast member of SNL? Really? The puppet is an excuse to say shitty things. That audience probably doesn't understand it's the humans saying it. Dan had a high school classmate that was in Road Trip. Aurora and Milwaukee will always be associated with Wayne's World. Milwaukee. In Living Color. Loved In Living Color. Absolutely love. And In Living Color was on around the same time as when I discovered SNL. Because In Living Color, when did it start? Like 19, actually by 92, 93, it was probably about over. But I think it started in 90 In Living Color. That was my favorite show as a third grader. In Living Color was my favorite show. Dan says the big Indian on top of the building that Wayne and Garth drive by is on 63rd and Pulaski. Andy Mack says still nothing from Wayne's World is in Aurora. The closest thing is a shitty pizza place named their arcade Noah's Arcade at the 20-year anniversary. John says In Living Color was awesome. That's what live shows do. That's like saying the news is very generational. That's a good point. Oops, I crapped my pants might be my all-time favorite SNL skit. In Living Color might be relevant today. I'm sure there's probably certainly some. Jamie Foxx in the Jamie Foxx show was great. I wish it had more than one season. Chappelle Show, greater than all other sketch shows. Free shipping equals liberation, Mikey. You made the right choice. Steve Martin was not. John Candy, not a cast member either. John Candy was, what was the sketch show that John Candy was in with Eugene Levy? Canadian show. What the hell was that? What the hell was that show called? SCTV. Men on Film may have been the first TV sketch that was overtly homosexual. Was that In Living Color? Men on Film? Finally finished the 1991 to 93 Pacific Nolan Ryan base set. So happy to have that done. Now to get them in a binder. There you go. SCTV. All right. Let's go back to the top of the chat because we missed some. George, he might be sleeping by now. What's up, George? Steel Cards, good morning. Shane, Talking Tatis, Christian, Kyle, John Larson, Victor, good morning. Josh is in the house. What's happening? Donald is here. Good morning. Harlan, JK Cards. Let's fast forward. No. We can't fast forward to opening day. We've got to get through spring training. I love spring because I'm going. So we have to go through spring training. David, good morning. Spring training will be rounding third when you get there. Do you specifically time your visit for that stage of the spring or when it works out logistically? I specifically time it out that way. I like to go toward the end because I like watching minor league games also. So if there's if the Cubs are on the road, like I basically stay at the Sloan Park complex the entire time. I don't leave. Sometimes I go to, like, usually once a year I'll go to a different stadium for a Cubs game. But I don't think I did last year. But yes, I do plan it around that time. So yeah, because I think there's only 1 week after I come back, and then so I think the season starts like March 29th. So by the 26th, 27th, so about a week after I'm gone, it's over. But yeah, that's what I do. Victor says Cubs signing Garrett Cooper just ended the Matt Mervis opportunity. Yes, I agree with that. Boo on Third Room. Oh, that's talking about the Madison Card Show coming up March 30th on Third Room again. James says dig out those prospects, moving fast. Shane wants to know what's wrong with adding a room. Takes money from Max. John says I'd look to book 4 tables at your show for my TCG inventory. Red Light, what's up? He says hit the like button. John wants to know what my beer money budget is for spring training. What if I told you I didn't have a budget for it's more than it. It's my beer budget for spring training is pretty obscene because I go to like 6 games. I think there's six games I go to, and beers are like $13 at the stadium. So and I drink more than 1 beer at the stadium. So take 13 and multiply that by like 3 multiplied by 6. And that's part of the budget. Orlando's in the house. What's up? Philly Joe is here. Good morning. Dan sold a 1974 complete set for $300 last night. As long as they pay, I just added to my card show budget for the weekend of 2 shows. John says, being in the Boulder, Colorado area, I have to drive to the other side of the Denver metro to go to a sports card show. I'm going to have to do my own sports card show towards Boulder. There you go. Listing and shipping and coffee. Oh my. Charlie's in the house. Peter is here. Great advice. Don't be greedy. Take the money and run. Go on. Take the money and run. Bill Simus is here. Good morning. Max says a lot of graphers will buy lots too. Did well a few years ago selling 25 card lots of each player. Yes, I see that a lot. Graphers also are annoying as hell because they don't plan. So they'll buy a lot today and they want to get it by Thursday. I need these by Thursday. I've had a lot of issues with graphers buying cards on eBay. Michael, what's up? Good morning. Oh, I got to find out. Are you back in for the March Madison Card Show? Let me know. Shane says, sounds like a show that would be on Rosie and the Chihuahuas. Yeah, when I'm like Rosie, and I didn't know the Chihuahuas' names. So I'm like Rosie and the Chihuahuas. And yes, Chihuahuas are dicks. These Chihuahuas were like they were kind of cool. They look like deep sea fish with ears. I wonder if collectors were like dogs and they came up and sniffed you if they could tell you were a Cubs collector. And then we went into comedy, I think. Jason's off. He's got a snow day in North Dakota. Hopefully it stays in North Dakota. Okay, and then we got into our comedy chat. It was a comedy bonanza. Not a Bowman bonanza this morning, but a comedy bonanza. Where are we at? Schmidt's Gay is an all-time great SNL commercial. My favorite, Sweaty Balls. I think that might be my all-time favorite. Sweaty Balls. Alec Baldwin was freaking awesome in like every appearance on Saturday Night Live. And you would think Alec Baldwin was a cast member. He's hosted like 17 times. Brian says, my brother and I are making plans for spring training 2025. With my kids and new job, I hope I can make it happen. One of the kids my brother coached is in the Rockies system. Would be cool to see him. Very nice. Very cool. John says you need to switch to Schmidt's Gay beer. You'll cut down real fast. Shane says it's okay. You can tell us you have $1,000 saved for beer. Graffer's more annoying in person. Sometimes that's also the case. Michael's going to message me. You will be back. Okay, cool. What's a grapher? Autographer. Like me. I don't have one of my... We go around. We're grown men that collect signatures of other grown men. So that's what I had for today. Didn't expect to go on a Saturday Night Live comedy hole, but we did. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Visit my eBay store. Did add about 200 new singles. Added some Bowman prospects. Added a couple of wrestling cards. I added a couple of the Simpsons. Actually, I think just one Simpsons card. I did put up the Terry Bradshaw rookie. What else did I put up last night? Put up some rookie cards, I think. Let's see. Watch Hartman do Clinton. Let's see. Max says, an adult that begs other adult men for their signatures and sell them, Bo, is not a grapher under my definition. So I don't beg. I just like ask. And if they say no, I say, thank you. Have a great day and go on with my life. Some of the graphers, graphers is kind of like the term we use in the hobby for flippers. Like probably 99% of you are flippers because you trade or sell cards, but you're not like the flippers that are hanging out at Target, stalking the retail guy, looking to flip retail boxes. So that's kind of graphers. Like there's a lot of graphers that collect autographs, but we're not like the assholes that are begging other men for their signature and then getting pissed off when they say no. So that's the difference. Homie, don't play that. That's another one. Homie the Clown is a classic. So yeah, that's what I had for today. Next Madison card show, like I mentioned, we'll have 175 tables again. 3 ballrooms will be open again. That's on Saturday, March 30th. My next card show, I'll be set up in St. Charles, Illinois on Saturday, March 9th at the Kane County Fairgrounds, St. Charles, Illinois. I will have new quarter boxes for that show. Shane says, Bo says, okay, thanks. Have a great day. Then secretly cries inside. Little bit. All righty. Like, subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow, 7 a.m.-ish.